Hello and welcome everyone to this year's Festive Tech Calendar. This session is called You'll Learn Azure Log Analytics. My name is Christopher Gill. I'm a cloud and modern workspace advocate. I'm also a Microsoft Azure MVP. I really enjoy sharing what I've learned with others. I'm a learn-it-all. I have wonderful neurodiversity superpowers. I've been part of the industry for almost 19 years. Most of those years with a focus on Microsoft Azure and hybrid cloud. So let's get started. What is Azure Log Analytics? Well, it's an interactive querying tool. It feeds from Azure Monitor, and it's located within the Azure portal. You can retrieve records based on query criteria. You can gather different insights on the data and different parts of the Azure enterprise. You can analyze patterns and quickly render data back based on your workloads. The queries are created using Kusto Query Language, or KQL, and can be saved as either a query or a function to be called or used later. Fun story, I'd learned from another friend in the industry who had mentioned that Kusto is actually named after Jacques Cousteau. Quick and easy name to remember, and it's also an exploration type of language that I believe was considered by Microsoft. So why did I choose to talk about log analytics or Azure Log Analytics this year? A lot of folks had approached me asking really truly like, what should I be using it for, or where am I already using it? Fun fact, most of the stuff that you see on the screen, Azure Sentinel, Azure Defender XDR, newly renamed, Azure Monitor, Azure Security Center, Azure Automation, and Azure Arc, all kind of live and breathe on the information that's coming out of Azure Log Analytics and log workspaces. So the integration points are pretty much found everywhere within Azure. One of the coolest and one of my favorite tools to use, both to teach and to teach myself as well as others, is this incredibly powerful resource. It's https://portal.loganalytics.io/demo. Now that tool, Microsoft is feeding data perennially into that tool. As you'll see in a few moments, there are tables upon tables, data that you can render, queries that are readily available, all for you to play and learn and build queries, build your expertise, and use this learning in your own environments to monitor workloads. All right, so as I promised last year, my gifts for this contribution would be truly live demos and not, getting slide after slide after slide. So we're going to hop right into it. But first, I wanted to cover some of the things that we're going to go over. First and foremost, I want to show you the Log Analytics interface. We'll take a look at the table schema quickly. We'll review some of the newer in-context queries, which are well over at least 250 out of the box now, and those continue to grow. So really valuable tool there. We'll navigate the Query Explorer, and we'll run some queries and filter some of those results. All right, let's get started. So again, navigating to that demo site, you'll see here at the top of the screen multiple query panels. We'll start with an empty one, and on the left you're going to be able to see this table pane in the sidebar. That sidebar, you can expand every single one of these tables, and again, just remember that in your environment your mileage may vary depending on what you're sending as diagnostic logging to workspaces. It will depend on what appears here for you. So again, if you're sending Active Directory auditing data, you will see Active Directory, again, the security and auditing data for Active Directory, so on and so forth. So what's really nice about this environment is this query editor is type ahead. So, for instance, if we wanted to take a look at security events, we just begin typing, and we could add this additional where clause, or let's select top 10 by time generated. And we'll simply hit this run. And what you'll see is results returned back from this demo environment. And it'll show information based on the computer, different accounts, but again, all relatable information based on the table schema for the security event. Again, this is located under security and audit, and then security event. And you're going to see all of these attributes as part of the table. So table column headers, all available as selectable items in this panel for results. What I did was I created a few queries in advance that we could kind of play and learn with. Expanding on what I had done for the security event, we could run this and filter it down even more to just event IDs of 4672, where a level of 8. And if we click on this filter button, we'll also see additional filters available for this same query. So if we didn't like what we had typed, and maybe we wanted to change this to just, I don't know, maybe one of the DCs. Let's pick DC 20. We're going to click apply and run. And we will see that the query automatically gets updated. And if I select and rerun it, I will get just entries based on DC 20. Once again, multiple queries on this page. As long as you select each one individually, you can run each one individually. We'll run the last one. And I want to point out, moving off of this select top 10, which is basically the top 10 results returned, I just want to select or project in KQL these three columns: time generated, computer, and activity. So again, just running that query, I can get these results back, the time generated, computer, and activity columns based on the information queried. Stepping forward, I want to show you a little bit of a more advanced query. This is looking at the heartbeat information. I'm summarizing based on a distinct count, and then I'm going to render this as a bar chart. And what you'll see is this query comes back and it gives a very beautiful bar chart that's also actionable. I can click, I can highlight, and again I can filter based on the results. And maybe I just want to take a look at, interesting, a victim 00. So I'll click apply and run. And as you see, my query has been automatically updated. Of course, the render bar chart, not necessarily as valuable once you filter it down to just one computer, but you get the feel for visualization. I can also change from a stacked bar chart to maybe a line chart. We're going to go back and remove this where clause and rerun the query to give a better representation of this line chart. All right, say I wanted to take a look at maybe updates across my devices in the environment. I could go against the update summary table and run this query based on update configuration across my environment. And as you'll see, these updates, it shows scheduled installation, notify, you get the point. Now, for folks that are managing container inventories, I personally like to poke around in these environments, and if I know that something's called container, begin typing container. Container inventory would give me some results back based on what type of containers are running in the environment. But here I'm going to say where container state happens to be, let's say, terminated. Now, notice that I did capitalize. This is case sensitive. So as you're going through these environments, just make sure that you follow case sensitivity rules. And I'll show what I mean in a second here. So container state terminated. Every single one of these containers, was running at some point. Obviously, came back with a terminated state. So you can quickly see, this Azure Kubernetes container that was running Node.js terminated for some reason. You can take a look into it and see why, and just get some state information. All right, moving on. We're going to take a look at the in-context queries. So this is a relatively new feature of the past few months. I'm going to go ahead and click on queries. And as you're going to see, this resource type is filtered down right now. I'm going to remove that. And on this left-hand side, you'll notice that there are queries across the entire Azure environment. Again, as I said before, 250, I think it's probably close to 300, if not more at this point. But these are all readily available queries that are written for you. And I could simply come into here and say security activities. So security activities on the device. I can click run or load to editor. Here I'm going to click run, which will do both, loading it to the editor and then running the query. And I'll get the information back, just like that. Again, pretty powerful, because not only is this helping you learn the query language, but it's also getting you to the end result of getting information for your environment fairly quickly. I'm going to show that again with some other components. Again, if we go into queries and say I was working with Key Vault, I'll simply type Key Vault, and then I will run maybe, are there any failures? I'm trying to set up this environment. Maybe I'm running into authentication failures, and I need to quickly work with either support or other individuals in my organization. So here I see, again, from demo data, here's information based on certain key vaults, what may be going on with them, and then I can click into each one of these results and find information based on what's going on. Again, I could also filter on this environment, but certain queries are only going to show information coming back based on the result set. Now, the one nice thing is that, to be honest, if I were to go into this environment and click on queries, this is a little overwhelming. I'd really just like to see queries that are based on what data and what diagnostic logging I have in my environment based on this left-hand column. So with that said, I can go into Query Explorer. And inside of Query Explorer, I have a list of favorites. I have saved queries, and I also have solution queries. The solution queries are related to the data in the data tables. It's a little bit of a smart insight based on what we're collecting. But again, if I come back and say I wanted to run something that I know I'm collecting update management information, I could click on this and say critical or security updates needed, click run, and hopefully get some data back. Now, we don't have data for the last 24 hours, but we could check for maybe 7 days. I'm going to run a different query. It's called missing updates for computer. and select the last 7 days and click run. And again, I'll get missing security updates based on the devices that I'm managing in my environment. The very last thing, and arguably should have been the very first thing that I brought your attention to, was this wonderful help menu. From here, you have online courses available to you through Microsoft Learn. You also have links off to the language reference for Custo or KQL. There's what's new reference, so as new versions and new ways to query information and new features get released, this will take you to that link. There's also a great getting started link as well. The community forum is fantastic. There are a lot of folks that are not only creating great content and contributions, but a lot of great folks that are willing to help. And there's also a community GitHub repo that, again, has a wealth of information and a wealth of resources and queries that are already formatted, ready to go, and ready for you to learn. All right, now that the demo's over, a few other gifts that I'd like to leave you with. What I've seen over the years from what was originally considered OMS, or Operational Management Insights, and now moving into Azure Log Analytics, has been just this continuous integration and continuous improvement from Microsoft. With that said, there are so many public previews that are available right now. One of the big ones I would expect a lot of organizations to use is this data export feature from Azure Monitor and Azure Log Analytics, allowing that continuous export of JSON data back to a storage account or event hubs. That's nice because you also have the additional ability to put different retention periods on those two environments. Looking at the Log Analytics Linux agent for what is now considered fall 2020, that's available for folks. And one of the things that I'm really intrigued by is the auditing of Microsoft support operations in both Azure SQL and SQL MI, or managed instance. Now, it wouldn't be right if I didn't give you additional gifts to learn this stuff. So what I've provided here is a few of my favorite links. Again, the Custo or KQL course. This is a freemium course from Pluralsight. Again, if you have a free account, or if you don't, you can set up an account for roughly 30 days just by going to Pluralsight. You can get through this course pretty easily, but again, it's a fantastic starting ground. The second link is Log Analytics FAQ and known issues. A lot of good information and resources there. The quick start guide, some of the resources that I've used to do the demos, some of the resources I've provided you are available there, as well as extensions of what I've done. The KQL language reference, again, that's the same link from within the portal itself and within Azure Log Analytics. And then a getting started guide, that tutorial, soup to nuts. It really starts you from ground level and gets you to be a pro in a very quick amount of time. That's 6 minutes, maybe 6 to 10 minutes. You're good to go. All right. Well, hopefully you all have learned something very valuable today. I really appreciate your time and tuning in. Thank you for the opportunity to share what I've learned with you. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. Thanks again, and have a great one. Take care.